Hello and good day to everyone. How are you today? This is the Executive Encore video podcast, and I'm Patricia Muir. In this episode, we're exploring a topic that sits at the very heart of success for all of us, whether we're women senior executives, entrepreneurs, business owners, or professionals, whether we're transitioning through the peak of our professional life or into our executive encore. That topic is energy, authenticity, and transformation as we remaster our life and work and enjoy our executive encore. Today, we're joined by a woman who knows a thing or two about navigating the highs and lows of entrepreneurship. Tina Brigley is a former teacher turned business strategist, and a coach. Tina has helped countless aspiring women entrepreneurs to ditch the hustle and transform from feeling overwhelmed to building aligned and profitable businesses. After she achieved a multi-seven-figure success for herself, Tina uncovered the hard truth about chasing a quick fix solution and learned that true success starts with who you want to be, not just what you want to do. Tina is a TEDx speaker, international coach, and personal development junkie, and is passionate about entrepreneurship and spirituality. I'm excited to welcome Tina to the Executive Encore video podcast to share her wisdom, her actionable insights, and a whole lot of inspiration to help you take charge of your life, your work, and your business. Hello, Tina. What you doing?
Hey, Patricia. Thanks for having me. For those of you that are watching, grab a pen, grab a paper, because I am going to give you so many nuggets. You're going to want to take this down, okay?
Yeah, I already warned you. She has lots of wisdom to share, so be sure that you're writing things down. If you are on the LinkedIn Live or the YouTube Live, just to let you know, I like to focus on my guest. So any questions that you do have, don't feel that you're not being heard. I will immediately address them afterwards. In fact, I'm sure Tina will as well.
Yeah.
So Tina, before we dive into the details, I'd love for our listeners to hear more about your personal story as you leaped into entrepreneurship. Can you share more about what you learned about sabotaging success by chasing quick fix solutions and discovering the real secret to your entrepreneurial journey?
So in 2020, I was an educator, and I left education to follow my dream, my purpose, my passion for entrepreneurship. And at first, there was a lot of success immediately.
Mhm.
And people were asking me, well, how are you building your business? How are you getting clients? I'm like, I have no idea. They're just coming to me. And I didn't realize at the time that I know now, I was sharing my journey. I was sharing my stories. So unconsciously, I was building trust, and I was building a network of people that were just like me, who hadn't gotten that next step yet, hadn't taken action. So I was really good. Everything was going great. And then I sabotaged. And what I mean is, like, it was so easy for me. And I had this belief that you need to hustle and grind. Building a business has got to be hard. So when it was easy, I thought there's something wrong. And of course, this is all unconscious, right? When you go from, hustling in education to make $100,000 a year, and you make that in 6 months doing what you love, your brain somehow says, when's the shoe going to fall? When's the shoe going to drop? And it didn't. So I dropped it. So I
You
found
dropped
myself,
it.
I dropped it.
Yeah.
So then I found myself,
Yeah.
in a position where I'm like, okay, I went from six-figure salary as a teacher to six-figure salary as a coach to 10,000 a year. I'm like, what is going on? So I hired a coach. And in that process of hiring a coach and figuring out some of my blind spots, I immediately blew up my business again. And then I got asked to be a co-founder of that business. And when I was co-founder of that business, it was the perfect time. All the stars were aligned. The pandemic, everybody's offline, wanted to get online. I had a solution. So before we knew it, we had 100 people in our rooms. We had hundreds of clients in a very short amount of time. And
Mhm.
I realized I wasn't connecting with people. I was building a business. I wasn't doing what I love, which is coaching. And there was something that felt really weird about that to me. I didn't really make the connection between entrepreneurship and doing what I love and building a big business. And I didn't know how to navigate it. It happened way too quickly. And I was just like, get me the heck out of here. Like, this isn't what I signed up for. I left corporate not to be in corporate again.
A different kind of in corporate, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But then because I didn't build in my back end systems, I had a team. Immediately, I had a team. They were generating leads for me. I was closing those leads. So when I went off on my own, even though I was building a business, I had a whole team to support me. I realized really quickly, I don't know what the heck I'm doing here. All I had to do was I was getting fed amazing people, and then I just closed them into our program. So here I am. I'm dedicated. I'm committed. Put me in the game, coach. I'm like, oh wait, I'm the one that's got to put myself in the game. And I was really committed to creating not what I had before, what I left, but creating something on my own terms, creating dream clients that I get to work with. But realistic, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to really, things were shifting. So I did what I thought I needed to do. Outsourced a whole bunch of quick fix solutions. And I know we're going to go into more details about that, but it was a very powerful situation that actually got me to where I am today. It was painful going through that transition, but I wouldn't change a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, unfortunately, I see so many women sabotaging their success in life, in work, and in their business by applying the quick fix solution, or what I call the Band-Aid approach, right? Just slap a Band-Aid on it. Or actually, what you mentioned is everyone else is doing it this way, so I'm going to do it the same way, which is usually quick fix hustle, right? Especially in business these days. Yeah, and working on their personal foundation, their professional foundation, and their business foundation is key, really, to success. And I think you have learned that. I'm very happy to witness that there is a transition now that we're going through in that approach. People are finally getting that this hustle is hard work and will burn you out. So, we talk a lot about that. And that also brings us to the first big idea I want to discuss with you today. You mentioned that in our conversation that people lie, but energy doesn't. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Oh, and I don't mean lie in the sense that we're consciously aware of our inauthentic ways of being, but you ever notice when you walk into a room, there are some people that when they walk in, their presence just fills the room. You don't know what it is about them, but you just know that they're the real deal. And then there's other people, their shoulders are slumped forward. They're saying words out like, oh, I'm a coach, I'm a consultant. But there's something in their whole demeanor, their body language that doesn't exude confidence. It doesn't show up as like, I am the authority. And that's what I mean by people lie, energy doesn't, because you can't fake authenticity. You can say whatever you want to say. You can believe what you want to believe about yourself. But at the end of the day, you got to embody who you are as a coach, as a leader. And what I mean by embodiment is really believe that that's who you are for the world, because we are going to have fears. We're going to have self-doubts. That never goes away. But when you know that what you're up to is bigger than your fears, bigger than your self-doubts, bigger than what you can see, there is this energy that fills you that you can't deny. And like I say, it's like coming from source, creator, whatever. But when you know that your mission on this earth is bigger than just the words that come out of your mouth, bigger than your fears and doubts, magic literally exudes from you.
That's very powerful, because as you were explaining that, I was thinking about the difference between being and doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being a coach or doing the work as a coach, sometimes that can, because of the label that we give to certain jobs and things like that, even being an executive, a business owner, that's who you want to be. But how are you going to show up authentically to show that this is what you're doing as that person, rather than just the label, right? And I think that's what you were saying. I'm this, I'm that. The label is not authentic. So we've got to find another way to communicate it. And I don't think we're going to get through that in this call, but I think it's something for us to think about, right? Because the other side of that is doing, but we don't want to be just a doing being either. I think maybe it's impact. I said we wouldn't get into that, but we wouldn't get into it during the call. But I think it's good for everyone to think about what's your impact rather than your title and what you do. What is your impact? And that will, similar to what you said, your vision, being able to speak about your vision and your impact, I think would help to bring that authenticity out. And I think even as I'm speaking, I will sit up a little taller when I'm talking about impact and authenticity. So we could get into a really long discussion on that. So that's such an eye-opener. Thank you so much. The other point that we wanted to talk about, or the second idea, was you say that transformation doesn't take years. What do you mean by that? What myth are we being sold?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in the spiritual world and the personal development world, they will go from program to program trying to like work on themselves. And you know, I think it's coming from a place of scarcity. Like there's something inside of me that needs to be fixed or that's broken. So I'm going to keep doing all of this training to try and heal this part of me. But what I've seen and what I've experienced and what I've really embodied is that sometimes you get an insight, you know, and transformation can happen in a moment where you get an insight that you see something that you haven't seen before, and then you take action. And what I mean by the action is I just recently had a personal discovery where I noticed something that I did when I was 8 years old. I kind of bullied somebody and I felt really bad about that. But I realized that I have been shaming and guilting myself and beating myself up for it unconsciously ever since. And so when I saw this discovery, it was like a little invisible thread that I could see the impact throughout my whole life, where guilt and shame and beating myself up. But when I saw it, it's like once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now the action is, okay, when I notice myself beating myself up, settling for less, thinking that I'm deserving of less, now I know, oh, that's because of this moment. And I'm going to see it and I'm going to touch it and I'm going to let that go. I'm going to let go of guilt. I'm going to let go of shame. And that is the work. And the work is seeing it in the moment. You're not ever going to transform it. Those thoughts, feelings, emotions are going to come up. But when we can recognize it and we can do a pattern interrupt, we can interrupt that pattern, that becomes transformational. And it happens with so many different things that we see that we didn't see before, and we take a new action and we practice it until it becomes part of our new identity. Who would I be if I was willing to let go of guilt? And I mean, it goes so deep for me. I feel like I have to have conversations with everybody. I have to be nice, you know, the have tos, the shoulds, be nice to everybody, make sure everybody is supported, everybody gets what they need. That is so unrealistic. That's how we get burned out, because we're trying to be everything to everyone, in that we're not God. We're not superhuman. So I had to let go of some of that attachment to really being nice and being a people pleaser. And that's what transformation is. It didn't happen all these years. It happened when I saw that insight. And then I took new actions. And we have these, when you do this personal work, it's not to just get more knowledge and wisdom, because knowledge and wisdom actually can be counterproductive if we do nothing with it. If we're just like, oh yeah, I went to this training and I did this, who cares? How is it changing your life? How is it changing you? How's it getting you out of your way? And that's what I want, the message that I want to send to people. spirituality is a double-edged sword. You can say you're doing the work and not do the work. Right?
Yep. Yep. Or you can go on to the next program thinking that it is the Band-Aid or the solution when actually it's the Band-Aid, because it keeps on putting a Band-Aid on what the actual issue. That's very deep, something that you have to work on. So yeah.
It's
Yeah.
comfort zone. Like I say, striving without receiving, processes without results, going from program to program is a process. And I love learning and I love growing. It's your comfort zone. Now, taking what you learned and applying it and getting uncomfortable and getting messy, that's the real work,
Yeah.
not just sitting in the seminar.
Yeah. Or going into a program and being very enlightening from the beginning and saying, what do I need to get out of this program? Not just another program, not just another certificate, but what, I guess, in my life to be the person I want to be, what do I need to take from this program? So yeah, that's it. That's interesting. Very, very deep on the insights there. I hope people are taking this down. So, because I think we both know a lot of people who, especially during COVID, hey, a great time to learn. Let's go from program to program to program. What have I done with that work so far?
Yeah, just like me. I'm not judging here. I'm saying it because that was me. I'm like 5,000 hours plus personal development training. And yes, I got insights, but I'm seeing that, until it becomes part of who you are. I mean, my friends see me from, 8 years ago. You're not even the same person. People that see me a year ago, I had this conversation with my husband. I call him my husband because he was my husband, but now he's my husband. And he said something, and I forget the context, but he said something, and I said, "You know what, Chris?" I said, "Unlike you, I've changed since last year. You keep doing the same thing, getting the same results, and wondering why. I'm not there." And he was like, "Woo, touche." We had this little banter, but I was like, "Yeah, I'm not the same person." And some people will say to me, "Well, you just did that last year." I'm like, "Yeah, I know I'm not the same person." Like, "What do you mean you're not the same person?" "Yeah, my values are different. How I see life is different. I'm continuously evolving. So what, I did a month ago isn't what I do now." And it's hard to keep up with that level of it's hard for others to keep up with that level of transformation because they're like, every time I see you, there's something different.
It's not a new haircut either.
No.
It's about, some clarity that will be very confusing to other people as they see you go through this. So speaking of clarity, one of the ideas that you bring up is that people don't go through life with free will and choice. So that is such an explosive and bold statement because most of us believe that we do have a certain amount of free will. We will put our guard on that, right? Yeah, you have a certain amount of free will, and I do have choice, because one of the things that I do in on this platform is to validate women's choice, right? Mm-hmm. So tell me how you feel about, or how can you expand on what you say about people don't go through life with free will and choice?
Well, I like to make the distinction between decision and choice. Decision, when we make decisions, like even the Latin word, the root word is like, literally means to cut off. So sometimes with decisions, if we're about to make a life-changing move, to leave a job, to leave a relationship, to take on our health, whatever it is, usually what we do, we add elements of the past and elements of the future, which is, okay, did this work out in the past? Did I already try it? What have I already done? And how will it impact my future? So what we do is we unconsciously and consciously weigh the pros and the cons, and then we usually take the path of least resistance. That is a decision. Rarely do we ever go through life saying, "You know what? I don't want to work at my job anymore. I quit because I quit." Usually it's like, "Okay, well, I need to have a backup plan. I got to make sure I have something else." A choice is just you walk into work and you say, "Today's my last day. I quit." Why? "I quit because I quit." That is an empowered choice. There is no past, there is no future. There's just this present moment. What do I want right here and right now? And it takes a lot of courage to just be in that energy of choice. And people aren't conscious of this. They think that they have choice. Oh, I'm going to leave my job and I'm going to choose to. But what did it take to actually get you to that point of choice? You weigh the pros and the cons, the good, the bad, who's going to be impacted, how's it going to affect my family, who will judge me, blah, blah. That is not free choice. And
It's expensive choice. That's expensive.
the less expensive, yeah, I mean, but it's what kind of power could we access? And I feel when I left education, there was nothing logical about that choice. I was leaving the best pension in the country, a good stable job, 12 weeks paid vacation. I had stability for my family. To leave for something that's unknown, people thought it was absolutely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I didn't know how it was going to work out. I just thought right here, right now, what do I want? Same when I left my relationship. We traveled the world. We had a beautiful custom built home. We had security. We had the things, but we didn't have that infinity that like he didn't bring out the best in me and I didn't bring out the best in him. And, people said, well, why would you leave that? I'm like, we left because we left. Like we uncoupled because we uncoupled. There is no past, there is no future. It's just it wasn't working for us. And they're like, what? But why? I don't and people have a hard time understanding. Well, don't you think that's selfish? Don't you think? I'm like, well, that might be your experience, but like we are living in a virtual reality world. I say like I'm playing VR. I love this. My friends bring over these VR glasses and I'm afraid of heights. So here I am climbing Mount Everest. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm looking down the mountain. I'm like, I can't. I pull off the virtual reality glasses and I'm in my living room, scared shitless.
Yeah.
This is life. We go through life thinking that it's real, but it's not. We get to choose our own adventure, but we've been programmed to believe that we don't have that. We don't have choice. And we're so afraid of losing money or losing safety. But meanwhile, on the other side, sometimes is real freedom, but we don't have the courage to take that action. Mm-hmm. So I encourage people, just know that you're wearing virtual reality glasses, but you're in your comfort of your living room or your kitchen and you're safe. And there's a higher energy source that's taking care of you. And if it's meant to be, you can't F it up.
Oh, quite a few light bulbs going off there, I'd say. So, here are some of my takeaways. Okay, so for listeners who are ready to take action, there are some practical steps to help women move from their current position to a more empowered and aligned place in life, work, and business, whatever that is. You have to do the work to find out what's going to bring you into alignment, right? So, as I mentioned before, starting with clarity, right? I think you'd agree with that. Mm-hmm. The other one, it does require, like you said just now, you've got to shift your mindset. One of the things that is difficult for women who are becoming entrepreneurs is that employee mindset, shifting that, getting rid of that to an empowered CEO, to focus on the big picture, long-term growth, right? Mm-hmm. The other one, our favorite, is leveraging systems, strategy, and your soul, right? Yes. Use reliable systems for structure, strategies to scale, and don't forget to align every decision that you make with what feels true to your soul. Do you think that's what you were just talking about, aligning that decision with what's true to your soul?
Absolutely. I mean, when I walked away from my business the first time, I was making like multi 5 figures a month. And I had just gotten a divorce. I had just moved homes. I mean, I just lost my dad. When I walked away, I didn't know where my pay, like I didn't know how I was going to get paid. I burned all the boats. And, But at the same time, when something's not aligned with your core values and you really believe in who you are, people can take everything away, but you can't take away you. You
Yeah.
can't take away your personal growth. And when you see that it has to be aligned with who you are, your purpose, your passion, your vision, then it becomes having certainty that if you're feeling called to do something, you will figure it out, because everything, as Marie Forleo says, everything is figure outable. And if it's to be, it's up to me. And it's 100% possible 100% of the time. And the only thing that it really takes is courage to operate life like that. Build it as you go, and know that, like you, possibly me, maybe you out there, are earth angels that are put on our path. You and I are put on our path, earth angels, to support people. There's people that are earth angels who are put on our path to support us. I never did any of this alone, ever. I always have a team behind me. I always have coaches and mentors, because I'm committed to making everything, not only in my life work, but the lives of others. And that is true alignment to me. That is my soul's purpose and passion. So when things come up, like making an offer or a sale, people are like, oh, doesn't that freak you out? I'm like, heck no, not at all. There isn't 1 ounce of my body that feels weird about that, because I know what I'm bringing to the table. I know that I can save people time, years. It's so aligned with who I am and in my soul. That's the only way for me to operate now.
Mm-hmm. And to take that, don't wait for that perfect moment to do that. It's part of the way you operate, right? So take immediate action. Yeah. Tina, this conversation has been absolutely enlightening. It's been amazing. Thank you for sharing your story and your insights. I want to ensure that people understand that when they're watching the video, you can see the ticker, so that you can see how to contact Tina. And I really do encourage you to contact her. If you're listening to this on the podcast, of course, it's going to be in the show notes, so all the links will be there. And just remember, success starts with who you want to be, not just what you want to do. Okay. Mm. Tina's website is in the ticker, Facebook, all her social is there. To add value for our listeners today, Tina, is there anything specific coming out of this conversation that you would say is a call to action for today, June 30th?
I would say, if you are an entrepreneur on LinkedIn, everything is shifting, including who you are. And don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to reach out and get support. It's not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. And if it's not Patricia and it's not me, find your person. Do not sit on the sidelines, because while you're sitting on the sidelines, life is going to pass you by. Your business is going to pass you by. And people that need your help today are just going to go find somebody else who's readily available or accessible. And that means that you're missing out on making an impact. So be in the driver's seat of your life. And if you're stuck, it's not weak to go get help. We do it all the time. But that's actually the only way to overcome and to get out there making your impact.
Mm-hmm. And it's not failure to move from one thing to pivot to something else as well, because I think some of us who may be so entrenched in who we were, that is very difficult to see who we can become without feeling that we failed somehow on this particular venture. So I just wanted to make that point. Thank you, Tina, and to everyone watching and listening. If today's episode resonated with you, I'm sure it's going to resonate with quite a few. Please share it with a friend, a colleague, another high-achieving woman who would benefit from this important message that Tina has given us today. This is for remastering life, work, and creating the reality that she deserves, or desires, I should say. So please share it. This video podcast is produced by Maestro Quality, part of the Executive Encore program, and hosted by myself, Patricia Muir. Please subscribe to the Executive Encore on YouTube and on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts for more insightful conversations and inspiration for transformation. Please add your comments on the channel to have your voice matter, your choices validated, and leave us a review. Share this episode with other women in your network. This small but mighty network of women executives and entrepreneurs needs to be more visible to others on podcasts and on YouTube. Subscribe to the Sunday Encore newsletter today. You can see the little code up in the corner. Subscribe today, because on Sunday, July 6th, you will see the feature where Tina will be there with the video and with the blog that I'm going to create for this week. Also, you will receive a link to VIP access to resources and offers that all my podcast guests provide for Executive Encore members and subscribers. Visit my website. It's down, not in the ticker, but it's down on the bottom there. My blog, you can read the blog, and follow me on LinkedIn and subscribe on YouTube. Remember, this is where your Executive Encore begins. This is where you start to live, work, and lead differently with a healthy mindset and self-trust, without the band-aids, okay? Until next time, take care of yourself, do what's best for you, and don't jeopardize what you've built for yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.